Hello, pretty late in the night, and this is 11.1. So I'll continue with some more memories from my 11th year. So, last where we left off is my second uncle got married, and he was just newly married, and my grandma, my mama's family, had actually vacated the Vijayanagar colony home, and they started living upstairs. They stayed there for about few months, not very long, maybe about 6 months, 6 to 8 months. After which, they actually moved to a rental place in a suburb called Saidabad. So my youngest uncle and my ataya, his wife, they stayed back, and my everybody else, my second uncle and my grandma, grandfather, they moved to this rental place. So the reason they moved there is my mother and my second Pinny, her sister, they had two plots, I think 500 square yard plots right next to each other in this place called Saidabad. So in her plot, my second aunt wanted to, by second Pinny, not the youngest Pinny, Irani Pinny, she and her husband, they wanted to build a home. It was a very, very nice home. So they started building it, and they needed some help, just somebody to keep an eye on it, supervise it, etc. They were getting contractors to do all the work, but they just needed somebody to keep an eye on it and make sure that the work was happening on time because they were NRIs. So my tataya and amama, they moved to this. Luckily for them, they found a rental place like literally right next to this plot. I mean, it was literally right next to. So they all moved there, and my youngest uncle and aunt stayed back. So around this time, after they moved there, my second aunt, she's started visiting very often because the house was getting built. And also her kids were growing up, as in my youngest, my cousin Anil was about 4 years old then, and my other cousin Anupama, she was about 7 years old. So she started visiting, and so in the back then, people didn't visit from US that often at all actually. They used to visit like in once in 5 years, because back then they didn't spend that much money on the tickets, and neither did they keep in touch much with phone calls or how it is now. It is completely unrelatable. Now we just go back and forth whenever we feel like. We hop on a flight and go. But actually, back then, she was one of the rare like NRIs who used to visit every 6 months. It was very much a rarity. With her two kids, sometimes my uncle used to accompany her. Many times she would just come by herself. So many years later, I realized, she was like, took a lot of effort to get integrated, not to get integrated, to make her children understand Indian culture, speak Telugu language. I didn't realize until I came to USA myself how difficult all that is. It is a big, almost like eighth wonder of the world achievement. She always made sure, and it's mainly because of these visits, and she was very clear that she wanted both her children to be very connected to the Indian culture, Indian way of life. So when she came, she actually left. My two cousins went to school actually for a while, and then she left my cousin Anupama behind. Anupama was also, when she was a baby also, she grew up with my mama. So again, she left her behind. And So she basically was during her middle school, high school years, mostly middle school years. She was raised. My cousin was raised by my mama and tataya. So whenever my Pinny visited, I didn't actually know this Pinny very well at all because she had left. She had got married and left when I was a baby. So I really did not know much about her at all. In the middle, she had visited a couple of times, maybe once actually, not even a couple of times. But from this time onwards, from around 1983 onwards, she started visiting almost twice a year, at least once, sometimes twice a year. So I learned a lot of nice things about her. Like she had a very, even now, she has a very good sense of humor. And again, like I said, the best thing is, later on when I myself became an NRI, I realized what a great feat she had achieved by, like, her kids talk Telugu, they understand Telugu, they sing. This is like, I mean, my kids, they understand, but they don't speak Telugu. So it was a very big achievement. And if she didn't come visit there regularly, and she would even, whenever she came, she'd make sure that the kids play with the cousins. They were not like doing their own thing. They used to always play with us and hang out with us. And actually, she was very wealthy, so she literally could have gone anywhere in the world. But she could have just gone on a holiday somewhere with the children. But she always chose to bring them back home. And she made a lot of efforts to make sure that they went out with the cousins, mixed with the cousins. So we have so many pictures of us with them, because we didn't even feel that they were NRIs because they would hang out so much with us. So my cousin Anupama, when she was always, even as a child, and especially during this age, she was she was so different from me in all aspects. She was very confident, very talkative, very athletic, very wise, not a pushover at all, and I was a complete pushover. But somehow we always gelled, even though we're completely opposite. I actually take that back. We didn't gel in the beginning. So in the beginning, I remember she would, even as a baby, she would always like climb these trees and climb everywhere, and she was so athletic and active. And I was like a Miss Goody Two Shoes. So the day that she came, she started climbing this tree somewhere, and I was like a granny. I was like, Anupama, get down from the tree. Otherwise, I'll tell Rani Penny. Like I'll then. As soon as we went back, I would tell my Pinny, she did this. She did this. I actually was just trying to be kind of, I always tried to obey the adults, and I was very afraid of being disobedient. Even all the time till I left, I was very afraid of being disobedient. I never was disobedient, actually. I would argue a lot, but I would later on. But I was very goody during this time. So I remember this incident where I told my Pinny that she was trying to climb the trees, and my Pinny, scolded her, and then she burst out crying and it was like sweet little American accent. She's like, she's always telling on me. She's always telling on me, and and actually I didn't know the meaning of the phrase telling on somebody. Then later on, I realized that actually I did tell on people a lot. And that was not to get them into trouble. I was too prudish. I was like an old woman. I was like, oh, if somebody said a rule, you have to follow the rule. You cannot break the rule, as if they were watching or whatever. I don't know. I was not a very fun-loving kid at all, or a fun-loving teenager either. I was very much by the book. If somebody said something, like unless I could convince them that something else was due, like I would very much try to be by the book. And if I didn't go by the book, I would feel very ashamed. I'd feel very like as if I did some terrible mistake, like I murdered somebody or something. So I realized that because of that, because of my prudishness, I would actually tell on people, tell on other kids. Oh, they didn't follow the rule. They broke something and they stole a mango from somewhere. They would keep on telling like that. So that's actually not a good habit. But I actually didn't mean to get them into trouble. I always wanted everybody to do the right thing, and I took it upon myself to make everybody do what I thought was the right thing. So in the beginning, it was like that, but slowly, I really felt she complimented me because she had a lot of qualities that I aspired to have, especially the confidence and the courage and the that aspect of it, and the talkativeness and the boldness. Definitely, I aspired to have that. And I was always very quiet and subdued. So I was always in awe of, like, how is she so confident? And it was not like it was because she was an NRI, because even when she was in India, she was naturally like that. So over a period of time, because my Pinny brought her home often, we became very good friends. We became very close. We became very good friends, even though we were completely opposite of each other, completely opposite, like day and night. So and as we eventually, when we became teenagers, we would also confide in each other a lot. So it was a lot of fun with her. I have some very good memories with her. So anyways, so that was happening on the side. So around this time, my youngest Ataya, my youngest uncle's wife, she had a baby. And she had a baby in the same nursing home where my youngest sister, I only have one sister, my baby sister, Swati, was born. So we went to see the baby in the hospital. I think it was, like I said, Sita Nursing Home, and it was the same doctor as the one who delivered Swati. So if you recall, in I think one of the episodes, like 8 point something episode, one of the episodes 8, the 8 series, I described when my baby sister was born, how she was so beautiful, and I had never seen such a beautiful baby. And I did say that there was only like one more. I eventually saw one more very, very, very beautiful baby, and that was, my cousin Sindura. So she was very, very, very beautiful. So if I can describe her beauty, like if any one of you has recently seen Ranbir Kapoor and Alia Bhatt's baby Raha, she looked exactly like that. She was that beautiful. She had these gray eyes and this curly hair and this milky skin and pink cheeks and beautiful red lips. And she also had a maroon tongue. I didn't realize all babies had maroon tongues. She was just breathtakingly beautiful. She was so beautiful that all the way until she was about, 7, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, a lot of marketing people used to approach her parents for ads. She actually featured in a water cooler ad sometime, and one of my friends was an ad filmmaker, and he came home once to take her pictures. I remember she was very, very cute, beautiful, very beautiful baby, like the kind you see in ads. Eventually, as she grew up, the curly hair remained, but her eyes darkened. But when she was a baby, she had gray eyes, actually. So I was very, very excited about this baby. And the funny part was her name kept changing. So actually, maybe most people don't remember it. I'm sure my Radhataya, my Ataya remembers. When she was pregnant, she would keep saying that she would name the baby Udaya Sindura. Udaya is like my youngest uncle's full name is Uday Kiran, so she wanted to name her Udaya Sindura. But after she was born, she said it's not Uday Sindhura, it's Ratna Sindhura. Ratna was my aunt's mom's name. Then she eventually, then they changed it to Sandhya Sindhura, and that's what remained. But my aunt was particular that it has to be something with the sun. So actually, her name has a very nice meaning. Sindhura is just basically red color, crimson. Actually, it is not red; it's crimson, and it's Sandhya Sindhura is the crimson red of the setting sun, of the dusk. So the crimson that you see in dusk, that color. What a beautiful name. Uday Sindhura, which if she had named that, that would be the crimson red of the dawn, of the rising sun. So she wanted something sun related, so she did get that. It was a very, very beautiful name. Just around that time, there was a few years later, there was this movie called Sindhura Puvu or something like that, and it was very popular. Some few years later, that movie came out, not at that time. So a lot of people used to call her Sindhura Puvu, Sindhura Puvu. The funny part is, a lot of people think her name is Sindhura, Sindhu, like the Indus River, Sindhu. It's not Sindhura, it's Sindhura, which is actually the crimson color, not the river Sindhu. But anyways, so that happened. The other interesting thing that happened during that time is again Indira Gandhi being prime minister. She they held a Commonwealth Heads of Government meet. It was called. This was a big deal for India. It was called Chogam. Chogam still happens actually. So it's all the Commonwealth countries, the British Commonwealth countries. They come together and they have a conference and meeting and they discuss politics and world issues. But again, it was a big year for India. They had the non-aligned movement meeting at the beginning of that year, and then later on they had this Chogam, and again all the same leaders again came. So India, we felt very proud of our country. We felt our country was like very, very happening. So this year, the other special thing that happened is in 1982, when Asiad was happening, a lot of people bought TVs. We still had our old TV, but now we got our first color TV. It was an EC TV, so we threw away or gave away the Telerat TV and we got a color TV. And funnily, after we got a color TV, we realized that not all programs were being telecast in color. So some movies would still be telecast in black and white. Either they would be black and white movies or the telecast itself would be black and white. They were not like old movies, they were like literally the telecast was not in color. So the first movie that we saw in color on our color TV, and we were so excited. So even my grandma and all, we all came, and it was like the inauguration of this color TV, and the movie was Sagara Sangamam. No, Sagara Sangamam, those people vacated, but Prabhakar and it was Sujata's favorite movie. She told me the whole story. After my Bhanupini left, I think Sujata was the de facto storyteller to me. Even though they were poor, they did watch a lot of movies. That was a nice thing in Hyderabad. Everybody, even the poor people, watched a lot of movies. It was their indulgence. So, what a beautiful story. It remains one of my favorite movies even till now. I show it to my children, and I've seen it like some 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And I never get tired of, how beautiful, Jayaprada looked in that movie. And the other funny thing was, There used to be a poster. It was actually, the poster was not a poster. It was actually it was a page of a magazine on Andhra Jyoti or something. Andhra Jyoti was a newspaper, I think. Anyway, it was a front page of a magazine which had Sri Devi and Jayaprada. I think it was the Telugu version of the movie Tofa. They used to feature in a lot of movies together. So they're both in these, Apsara damsel like white dresses with like the headgear and all. They're so beautiful, and they're holding each other and they're bending back, like leaning back. So the funny part was, my Kiran Moya's favorite heroine was Sri Devi. He just liked Sri Devi a lot. And my Radhatya, her favorite heroine was Jayaprada. So they cut that and they put that on their wall. It used to be there in Vijayanagar colony, and it used to be there in the Medipatnam house also. So after they occupied the Medipatnam house, because my Amama Tataya and my second uncle and his wife, because they moved to Saidabad, earlier they'd occupied like they had a kitchen, and it was like a kind of dining area, but they were using that as a bedroom and a living room, and they had another bedroom, and the extra bedroom my brother had. But because my grandparents and my second uncle vacated after about 6 months or so, they just kept the 3 rooms, and I remember that they were paying 350 for rent for that. I remember that so well. So, and for the 4 rooms they were paying 450, but after they scaled down to the 3 rooms, they were paying 350 rent to my parents. So the fourth room my brother took as his room, and the two, basically we took 2 bedrooms, and it had a separate entrance, the 2 bedrooms, and then they kept 3 rooms, a kitchen and what was originally a dining room, but they were using that as their bedroom, and a living room, of course. So that was there. And the other big thing that happened during this time is, just before the Chogam, Queen Elizabeth came to visit Hyderabad. And not Delhi, Hyderabad. And there were not much to see in Hyderabad. So they were taking her to see Golconda Fort. So to go to Golconda Fort, her convoy of cars would pass Medipatnam, where we lived. So everybody found out that her convoy of cars would pass there. So we all were in so much in awe that the Queen is coming, the Queen is coming. We lined up the streets. Now that I look back, I was like, I don't know why we're in so much awe of the Queen, as if we still were her, were a vassal state or whatever. I think maybe we thought like that. I mean, the idea of Commonwealth itself is like that. I have no idea why we choose to belong to the Commonwealth, honestly. Hope I don't get some hate for this, but yeah, I mean, it's long back we were a colony, but now we were a sovereign independent state, but still we felt very proud that we were the Commonwealth, and we all wanted to see the Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. So my friend Lakshmi said, we have to go see the Queen. Today is a very big day. They gave us a holiday. And then the municipal corporation started washing all the streets all the way for her to pass through from the hotel to Golconda Fort, and she was going to come through Medipatnam and take a right turn there. So we all lined up the streets, and remember I told you in 11.0 that beautiful yellow dress that my second uncle had brought me. I wore that dress. We all wore our best dresses, everybody in the street, and we all lined up the street to wave to her. And then luckily for us, we actually got a very good spot. So I was right in the front. Me and Lakshmi were right in the front. So and then of course her car passed by, and there was the Queen Elizabeth sitting, and Prince Philip sitting next to her, and she was wearing a hat. I thought she'd be wearing a crown. I don't know why I thought that. I thought a queen, or I saw her in like, whatever, when Princess Diana got married and all that. So I saw, I thought like they always wore a crown. A queen would always be in a crown. I thought that the crown was attached to their head when they became a queen. I thought they slept in the crown also, wearing a crown. So I was pretty surprised that she was wearing a hat with some roses on it. And she was wearing a pretty dress. And of course, I felt she was very pretty. And then Prince Philip was very handsome. He was sitting next to her, and the window was actually rolled down. It was not a convertible, it was a closed car. But it was a nice sedan. It was like I think it was an Impala or no, it's not an Impala. An Impala is very small. They have a name for that long one. I'm not remembering. It starts with a C. It's Contessa. So it was a Contessa car, and then she went past. But even though Contessa typically can be convertible too, but it was actually closed. And then as she went past, the window was rolled down, and because we were right in the front, she leaned and she was waving like this, and I swear I felt eye contact. So literally I saw Queen Elizabeth from like 5 feet away, like literally very close. Like if she leaned over and I leaned over in the street, we would have touched, our hands would have touched. So that was thrilling for us. So during that time, a few years ago or a few months ago or whenever, around that period of time, it was a big thing. Prince Charles had married Lady Diana, and she became Princess Diana. And her hairstyle was like, very revolutionary, legendary. I mean, everybody was like, wow, what a different hairstyle. And somehow my mom was very fascinated with that haircut. Remember how I had long hair and she made me cut my hair so that I become more bold like Rashmi? That didn't work. So now she wanted to cut it shorter so that maybe I become bolder or bold. But I was used to always resist it because I used to think that's like a boy cut, like, I don't want it. But she'd keep saying, no, it'll suit you a lot. I want you to have that haircut. You need to look bold. You need to be bold and all that. So anyway, but after I saw this queen pass by, I think I finally went and said, yeah, I am okay for that hair. I was not excited. I was still reluctant, but she'd been like pestering me, hounding me to get that hairstyle for a long time. So that year, I actually got that haircut. And right after the haircut, I was so angry. I didn't like it at all. To cheer me up, actually, she took me and my sister to the photo studio and she took a picture. I still have that picture. That was right after, like, few days after I got that haircut, and I was so upset with that haircut. So she wanted to convince me that I look very pretty in it. But maybe I looked pretty, but I was so angry in that picture that I was not looking pretty, or angry or sad. I always had a sad face in pictures for a very long time. Then later on, I started smiling. I was not really sad. I was more of a serious kid. I was not a sad kid. I was a sad kid later, but not until like seventh grade or so. So that was something that happened, and then of course we had the Chogam meet, and the other big thing that happened was now everybody had a TV, so there were talks about sending an Indian astronaut into space. And we didn't call them astronauts because we were collaborating with Russia, so we had to call them cosmonauts. So that's something we learned, that American space people who go into space were astronauts, but the Indians were cosmonauts. So I still remember there were two contenders for it. One was going to be a backup and only one person was going to be sent, but both were getting trained in case something untoward happened and somebody fell sick. So both got trained. So one was Rakesh Sharma and the other one was Ravish Malhotra. So my dad, as usually, would like place bets on who would be selected. My mother liked Rakesh Sharma. My dad and I liked Ravish Malhotra. So, and that name I remember forever and ever. In fact, I call my husband's name is Ravi. Sometimes, most of the time, I call him Ravish Malhotra, and not just Ravish. I say, "Hey, Ravish Malhotra," because I thought that was such a unique name. It is not Ravi; it's Ravish, and I've never heard that name after that. So anyway, Rakesh Sharma got selected, and even about that, even though that was not he was not my dad's favorite. My dad was he used to do a lot of research, so he was very kicked by the fact that Rakesh Sharma had his schooling and college in Hyderabad, so he is actually a Hyderabadi. So he had gone to St. Anne's School, then Grammar School, and then Nizam's College, which are all from Hyderabad. So, yeah, so my dad was very proud of that. And and then Indira Gandhi came, and when these people were finally they went upstairs in a not upstairs they went up into space in a Russian craft, actually spacecraft. So there were a couple of Russian cosmonauts with them. So when Rakesh Sharma went up, they did a broadcast, and then it was telecast everywhere. We were all so proud. And then probably this line was rehearsed, but we were all it was a time of naivety, innocence, age of innocence. So we didn't realize this sentence was rehearsed. We thought he spun it up on the fly. So, and maybe he did. So she asked him a few questions, Indira Gandhi, in the broadcast, and then she said, "How does India look from up there?" And then Rakesh Sharma said, I can't quote unquote him because I don't remember exactly, but he said, as far as I can tell, or something like that, he said, Sare Jahan Se Acha. Sare Jahan Se Acha is a Hindi national song, patriotic song, but it also means the most beautiful of all nations. I cannot explain the pride we felt in our hearts when that happened. So, anyway, I am a pastime, but all these various incidents happened then. And there's no lesson, but I think it was an age of progress. And so I think reflecting back, when the nation is making progress, whether it's in art, like so much parallel cinema, or your NRI aunt coming and being able to now like fly back and forth so often, building a second home in India, and or somebody from your nation, your countryman going up into space, or your nation hosting like non-aligned movements, and Queen is visiting. Whenever there's progress, whether it's nation or whether it's family, like you just feel so much of pride. You feel like you are part of it. So I share that feeling even now. Like if somebody in my community or in my family like does really well, you do feel that sense of pride, even though you personally are not doing it. So that's something you should never lose. Yeah, something to keep in mind is that don't ever feel jealous if somebody is of your own is doing well. It's just a matter of pride and joy, and take it that way. So that's all I have. And next time I'll come back with 12.0. I'll start, and I have a lot of interesting things, big, significant things happening in that year. Okay, bye.